Hi, everybody. This is Derek Brink. I'm a Vice President and Research Fellow with the Aberdeen Group in Boston. I'm a researcher and an analyst here covering topics in information technology, information security, and risk. I also teach on these topics in master's level courses at Brandeis University and also Harvard here in Greater Boston. And it's my pleasure to talk today for the second time with Dr. Jayshree Pandya. She is the founder of the Cybersecurity Risk Research Center, founder of Risk Group LLC. Both of these are based in Texas. She's also the author of a book that we'll talk about during our conversations as well. Now, hi, Jayshree. Welcome to the conversation again.
Hello, Derek, and hello to everyone on Peerlist. I'm delighted to be here today, and I look forward to talking about the things that matter to all of us today. Let me take a moment to say a few words about Cybersecurity Risk Research Center. As the power struggle rages on in the cyberspace, the cyber battleground still remains full of unknowns, including major players, minor players, and rules of war. In the hidden battlefields of cyberspace, the casualties have been quietly piling up. It seems every NGIOA, that is nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, has been hit and are at a risk of being hit. No one is being spared, including common citizens. With the war moving to cyberspace, it is necessary to recognize that constructing proactive defenses rather than passive ones become a necessary for survival as well as sustainability. Now in cyberspace, what is common to all is technology and information, but what is not common is how that information is identified, accessed, understood, and used. Each nation is at a significant decision point today as they must continue to defend their current systems and networks in the geospace and space and attempt to get out in front of the challengers and competitors in the cyberspace. Cyberspace brings the good, the bad, and the unknown. And to build on the good, to be prepared for the bad, and to face the unknowns, there is a need to create new cyber abilities. As we speak across nations, the fierce mapping of cyberspace has already begun. When identifying, understanding, evaluating, and mapping unknowns of cyberspace has become a fundamental necessity, a cybersecurity risk research center is not only needed for navigating one's survival in these cyber wars, but also for identifying, defining, and conquering new global cyber territories. With that in mind, I have launched Risk Group has launched Cybersecurity Risk Research Center that will provide the first step on the journey to fill the knowledge void of the cyberspace and translate the unknowns to knowns, prepare for the bad, and build on the good. So it's a real pleasure to be here and talk about something that we are all, very passionate about.
Yeah, thank you for the background. And the first time we spoke, I think we were talking about risk and in the context of cybersecurity. And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think one of the points you were making is that the scope of risk that most enterprises talk about, and that's my focus in the work that I do as a sort of enterprise. You're talking about a much broader scope in the work that you do, and you called for a much broader framework as a result of that. So I wonder if today, I think we were planning to talk about the framework that you have in mind, that you're proposing, this broader framework, and you just gave some good context for why that's important. Can we talk about the frameworks that are being used today and why you think there's a need for a more comprehensive one?
Yes, absolutely, Derek. That's a really good question because I think that is at the heart of where the focus should be as far as the cyberspace and cybersecurity is concerned. See, currently there are two frameworks that are very widely used. One is the internal control framework, and the other is the enterprise risk management framework. And the one that was recently released by NIST is the NIST Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework. Now let me go through each one of them and talk about that a little bit so we understand why there is a need for cybersecurity risk management framework that Risk Group has proposed recently. Now, when it comes to internal control framework, while this still continues to serve as the broadly accepted standard for satisfying regulatory reporting requirements, requiring an entity's management to certify and the independent auditor to attest to the effectiveness of those systems, it clearly lacks an ability to identify and manage critical security risk facing NGIOA today in cyberspace, geospace space. The acronym is CGS. When it comes to enterprise risk management framework, while it is widely popular approach to manage enterprise risk in which an entity in an industry assesses, controls, exploits, finances, and monitors risk from all sources for the purpose of increasing the organization's short and long-term value to its stakeholders. And while it does provide a more comprehensive focus on the broader issue of risk management, it lacks an ability to anticipate global, national, or industry crises. It also lacks a framework to assure comprehensive, integrated risk management, and there are many people who feel that it's largely reactive, and it widely promotes transfer of risk and insurance of risk over prevention of risk or management of risk, thereby creating bigger, complex, and more catastrophic risk. So the new framework that was released by NIST recently, now everyone is very excited about this framework, and they are hoping that this will provide solutions to their current security challenges as far as cyberspace and cybersecurity goes. While the NIST framework claims that its adoption may prove advantageous for entities across virtually all industries, it lacks fundamentals for integrated risk management. It also fails to provide guidelines for collaboration amidst competition, which is a very, very important area that needs to be addressed. It fails to convey that information security is not equal to cybersecurity. It also fails to provide entities incentives for participation. It says that public and private enterprises, they all need to work together. But where are the incentives? Why would someone want to make an effort to have those collaborations? So the incentives are very important, and this framework fails to provide that. It also fails to introduce necessary changes in the definition of security, its standards or concepts. It also fails to convince nations on the need for broader integration, cooperation, and collaboration. It also fails to introduce a need for collective view of cyberspace, geospace, and space, because we all know that computer code and the internet has connected everything, cyberspace, geospace, and space. So focusing only on cyberspace or only on geospace is not effective. So these are just some of the things that I see that lacks in the NIST framework. And
so if I could, then I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you do see some positive things there, but your point is that it just doesn't go far enough. It doesn't cover enough of the picture. I wonder if you can I just make a couple of comments on my own before, because we'd all like to hear about your view of the larger framework. But with respect to the NIST frameworks and things of that nature, I think we might have touched on this very briefly the last time we spoke. But what I've seen, I'm asking if you agree, what I've seen, because you did say just now they're very popular, but what I've seen is that there's such complexity, and the pace of change is so fast that many organizations are unable to keep up. And so they look to frameworks like the NIST framework, and they look to things like the so-called critical security controls, the top 20 controls, or the Australian government's top 4 controls, who said, look, these 4 controls would have prevented 85% of the cybersecurity risk we actually saw. So those things are looked upon favorably because there's just such an abundance of choices to make, and companies are having a hard time to wade through all of those choices and make proper decisions based on risk. And now here you come along and saying, wow, it's even a bigger problem than that. So I guess in my simple-minded view, there is a sort of crawl and then walk and then run sort of approach that makes good sense. And so I think I agree with you. I see a lot of people sort of run and get behind the NIST frameworks and the CSC top 20 because gosh, it gives them something to do. It cuts through this fog of more, as some people have called it, and lets them move forward. So I guess 2 things. Do you agree with that? And Do you agree with that? In other words, that it's good to at least get started with that and maybe expand and grow. And then could you just explain what are the bigger, what's the bigger picture that you're proposing?
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, as far as organizations go across industries or across nations, they always want to focus on things that, they are forced to do first, well, like, compliance, legal requirements, and those kind of things. So, yeah, there is no way out of that. So they have to focus a lot of energy, a lot of resources on, making sure that they are in compliance with all those, legal and regulatory requirements. So while there are only finite resources every organization has, so nobody has infinite capabilities to address every single area that they would like to address. But we are at a very critical point here, and that makes it very essential that we balance all these things, because right now cyberspace and the rapidly changing fundamentals of the digital global age have created very unusual complexities and challenges for every NGIA. And because of the rapid pace of change in the global environment, strategic risk research or strategic risk, understanding and capabilities and addressing strategic risk, has become very, very important. While most of the organizations, like we talked, are actively focusing on financial risk, legal compliance risk, and operational risk. The much needed focus on strategic risk, which consists almost 70% of the overall risk portfolio, is non-existent. The risk that they are paying attention, like compliance risk, legal risk, and all that, it makes up only on about 30% of the total risk portfolio. 70% is strategic risk, and that needs to be addressed. That is a vital necessity for every NGIA, every entity within every industry, to be able to compete in this very complex and very competitive and very challenging environment that we have right now.
Yeah.
So while the NIST framework is a really good step in the positive first step, I would say, where they acknowledge that there is a need for public-private partnership, there is a need to focus on security and need to focus on risk, which is good that they are giving their kind of blessing that, yeah, these are the areas we need to focus on. But that is only the first step, and there are a lot of gaps, and while they are very, very supportive and forward looking about this, that as we go forward, as we know more, we are going to adapt to that and we are going to make our framework better. I feel that strategic risk needs to be an integral part of the cybersecurity risk management framework. And when we say that this is a cybersecurity risk management framework, we need to at least give a broader definition of cybersecurity rather than information security, because when you look at the framework, it is only information security. And we need to make everyone understand that while information security is important right now, we need to protect all our data. The meaning of cybersecurity is much more broader, and we need to understand what cybersecurity is, what security is, and how integrated risk management can be structured in such a way that everyone feels motivated to contribute, everyone feels motivated to be a part of that broader mission for the national security, and that those things needs to be addressed.
Yeah, well, we talked about this a bit before, and I think it is still a challenge, which is that many companies are struggling just to focus on their business, whatever that business may be. I think last time we used the silly example that I raised of a sandwich shop, right? But they're focusing on their business, and with respect to information security, most of their resources are being consumed by just operational, keep the lights running and that sort of thing. And there's very precious few resources available to think more strategically. And now here you come and say, look, we need to think even bigger than that. So my question before was who has the time and resources to be able to focus on this, and I think that's still maybe one of the challenges we all have to get to. But listen, what you can do and are trying to do, it seems to me, is inspire people to think bigger and more broadly, and you've developed this framework. And just in the couple minutes that we have left for this segment of our conversation, can you describe a bit more about the framework, and more importantly, I think, where can people go to learn more about what it is and learn more about these ideas that you're trying to so hard to put out there? Where can they get more information?
Sure. That's a really good point, Eric, and thank you for saying all those kind words and good things about what we are trying to do, and we really appreciate that, and we hope that we find many more supportive people like you who can understand and appreciate that need for what we are trying to do. And to your question about where they can get more information, on riskgroupllc.com is our website address, riskgroupllc.com. There is an executive summary of the framework available, and I am in the process of writing a much broader, book, probably in a book form. I have not decided how I'm going to publish it, but something that will, give them a great understanding about all the tools, technologies, processes that needs to be in place to make this, framework effective. Now, coming back to the point of the framework that we have just rolled out, the cybersecurity risk management framework that Risk Group has just proposed, the underlying premise of this is again a security-centric framework that is, it is going to have a very broad, security controls all along. And the underlying premise of this security-centric cybersecurity risk management framework is that in the interconnected and interdependent digital global age, no entity within any NGIOA can effectively manage their security risk independently. Even if an entity manages its private security risk independently, the interdependent risk, the interconnected and interdependent risk facing them will undermine the isolated and independent risk management effort and program and make the entity vulnerable to catastrophic events. So the CSRM framework, which CSRM is the acronym of Cyber Security Risk Management Framework, CSRM framework that we have proposed expands on both the internal control framework as well as the enterprise risk management framework and many other frameworks, and provides an effective security-centric risk management framework that provides each and every NGIOA a forward-looking way to identify and manage independent and interdependent risk. In addition, it also embeds strategic risk as a vital part of the risk management framework. It reverses the focus from transferring risk to preventing risk. It connects cyberspace risk to geospace and space risk. It integrates government risk with industries risk, organization risk, and academia risk to give a comprehensive view of nation's risk. It integrates nations' risk to give a very comprehensive view of global risk. It provides and promotes proactive approach to managing risk, and it addresses the changing nature and definition of security and provides security-centric risk management framework, ability, and capability. So when the most critical challenge for decision maker at all levels across NGIO is determining how much risk they are prepared to take for their initiatives as they strive to survive, sustain, and create value in cyberspace, the proposed security-centric CSRM framework will better enable them to meet those complex challenges. So the proposed security-centric CSRM framework provides an integrated risk management approach that addresses the global shifts of the digital global age to lay out much-needed foundation of an integrated NGIOA risk governance framework. And we are very excited about this framework. We have put in years of effort in this, and we hope that people take some time, go through the details that we have provided right now on our website, and keep an eye on more information as we roll out on our website and through other sources, and hope that this provides a positive benefit to every organization, every entity that are trying to manage their complex risk in this cyberspace in CGS environment.
Well, I think that's exactly why Peerless invited you to come and share some of these ideas and expose them to the people in the Peerless community. And the next thing, of course, that we want to do in our upcoming third conversation is talk more about your book. I think it was published a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's just to repeat for everyone, it's called The Global Age, Nations, Governments, Industries, Organizations, and Academia, or NGIOA, at Risk. So we'll talk about that the next time, and I'll look forward to that, Jayshree. And for now, everyone, Peerless, thanks for your attention. We'll talk to you again. Thanks.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Peerless. Pleasure to be here.